Tom Baker, definitely our favourite Doctor Who, says that playing the part was pretty straightforward because all he had to do was speak complete rubbish with conviction. And as all his life he'd been taught nothing but nonsense by priests and teachers, it was peasy, even when being throttled by a Cyberman.
Cybermen function more efficiently than animal organisms. That is why we will rule the galaxy.
Loose thinking. The trouble with Cybermen is that they've got hydraulic muscles. And, of course, hydraulic brains to go with them. Now, if I'm correct about what this contains, and should accidentally drop it... Now, I want some information from you, Cyber Leader.
And I'm sure you got it. Hello.
Yes, I did. Hello.
Lovely to see you again. And it seems like that, as you said, make you very big in Abu Dhabi.
Yes, that's right.
And around the world.
Oh, and around the world,
And
yeah.
around the world.
They just did another Doctor Who, which bombed, didn't it? An American co-production. Didn't work.
true,
Didn't
yeah,
work
it
at
didn't
all.
work.
Did it?
I didn't watch it. No.
No, I didn't,
But
but
I
I
understand it was amazingly dull and ordinary.
Yeah, which is one thing Doctor Who never was.
No, apparently it wasn't very mysterious, and so we've heard the last of it, I'm afraid.
It's a shame.
That's a shame.
Well, I don't
Great
feel very
story.
grieved about it.
I think you've had enough. We've had enough.
Absolutely. You were working on a building site, weren't you, when they offered you the
I was.
part?
Yes, I would work anywhere, really. I'm quite shameless in that way, yes. But that was a long time ago, you know.
I know.
Yeah.
How old were you when it fell
I
your way?
suppose I was still in my 30s. I
Yes.
suppose I was about 37.
And you still, I like this, you have the grace to say, so many people turn their backs on something which has been a huge success for them, but you have the grace to say that actually it was your favourite part. It was just such fun.
Well, it was because, you know, I always wanted to be a great success in something. Initially, when I was young, I wanted to be a master, but I saw through that.
I thought you wanted to be an orphan, didn't you?
Well, I wanted to be an orphan, but when that didn't happen, I wanted to, because the Germans didn't bomb my mother. But then I wanted to be a martyr, and then I took up this long, passionate fling with God. And for a while, I thought we were going to, you know, we were an item, God and I. But then, you know, I went off him, really.
Well, did you go? I mean, obviously you were in a monastery and you came out again, but have you still got a faith? Would you still describe yourself as a Christian?
Well, no, I couldn't describe myself as a Christian, but I mean, I do read my Bible, but that's because I love, you know, cheap, lurid melodrama. You know, I read the Old Testament, and it really does actually slay me, you know, because we got off to a very bad start, you know, according to the Garden of Eden. I mean, the firstborn man, as you know, was a murderer, killed his brother. And I was reading Genesis the other day. Do you know that God was sick of us by chapter 7? Well, that's when he first committed genocide. It was. He said to Noah, get in the ark. And Noah said, well, he said, just get in the ark. I'm going to drown the rest of the buggers. And he did.
You'll come back to me in the end, though, won't you, Tom? Yeah?
I don't know, really. I'm not all that clever, but maybe he'll come back to me.
I'll tap you on the shoulder one day.
Yes, we say hello.
Yeah.
No, but you wanted to be an orphan, didn't you? Because during the war, orphans got American packages.
Yes. Orphans
Yes.
got baseball caps.
That's right, and Superman comics and stuff.
Yes, yeah. And so lots of us wanted to be orphans. And we used to go to church and pray that our mothers would be bombed on the way back from the pub, yes.
Horrible.
I thought it was rather nice, although I was devoted to my mother, but I did want to be an orphan.
Yes.
Yes.
This is just a live, talky sort of flavour of the flavour of your book, Who on Earth, Tom Baker, which has been serialised in one of the papers, so we've had a chance to read it. It's very moving in parts. I mean, you say that when your father came back from the war, and how long had he been overseas for? How long had he not seen your mother for? Ages.
Well, a long time,
Yeah,
a couple of years maybe a bit more.
And when he arrived home and emptied his kit bag, you tell me.
When my mother unravelled his dobie, his washing, as they used to say in those days, she found 2 years' letters unopened.
From
She'd sent
her?
From her. She'd written to him every fortnight for 2 years. And he had never opened them. That's right.
How
Yes.
extraordinary.
It was extraordinary, yes.
Why? Do you think could it have been that he couldn't bear to be reminded of home, or?
No, I think he was just bone idle. I don't know, he was an odd fellow. I mean, at least he could have slit them, couldn't he?
Yeah.
And she might have thought he'd read them.
But it seems odd that he brought them home. You see, that's why I think. that
Yeah,
there might
no,
be-
that's right.
He's got
He
them.
wrote. He really wasn't all that clever.
Was
I
he
mean, he
really?
should have dumped them over the side. He'd been around the world twice.
But they then didn't speak to each other, did they?
She
for
didn't
years?
speak to him again.
She didn't speak to him ever again.
No, not for 9 years.
Good God! But they didn't separate. They didn't
No,
split
they
up.
had nowhere to go, you see. And also, he didn't have a suitcase to take his things away. He was very poor, you know. Lots of the poor would stay together because they were too poor to part,
Yes,
really.
yes.
And so then came the great drama of their lives. was how subtle and refined their methods of torturing each other could be. Like lots of people who want to stay together, they refine their torture of each other.
Yes.
And
Were you a go-between if they weren't talking?
well, I was a go-between, but it was in an absurd way, because if he asked me to ask my mother what was for dinner, she was there. You know, so it was a bit of a black farce, really. So
you would literally then turn around?
So she'd say, ask him what he wants for his supper. And he heard that. So I'd say, she wants to know what you want for your supper. And he'd say, ask her what she's got. And I'd say, he wants to know what you've got. And she'd say, liver and onions. And he'd say, tell her I hate it. It was dire.
Especially when they had a row, because you would have been the conduit of the argument as well.
Yeah, but mind you, I wasn't a child when that was happening.
No,
I was already, I was already a student and a student actor. So it wasn't bad. And also, when you're an actor, you watch these things, and I thought, maybe one day I'll be able to play him. And then I realized, it's such an awful part. I'd much rather play my mother, which is very likely nowadays.
So you weren't wounded by that?
Well, I mean, I hope I haven't given the impression that I was wounded, but
No.
I was sad for them, I was sad that I remember when my mother was dying, and my father and mother died within a fortnight of each other, and when my mother was so ill that her hands were too wasted and sore to touch the counterpane, and I said, full of guilt and carting down a box of chocolates, hard centers, I suppose, knowing my lack of tact, and I said, is there anything you want? And she said, yes. I just want to outlive that old goat in the next room.
Jeez.
And she didn't, And then when my brother went to see my father and told him the terrible news about my mother's death, he wept, the tears, the wasted tears of 34 years or something, wasted,
God.
Yeah.
It's one of the saddest stories I've ever heard.
Oh, no, but there are, if you turn over, I cheer up on the next page. You did ask me a sad one.
Yeah,
I know,
we did,
I know.
yeah.
What's the story, though, the fascinating story of how you met someone in a restaurant and talked to him
New
for 2
Zealand.
hours and discovered
yes.
that he was your son?
Yeah, I was in New Zealand a few months ago, and my wife and I were having a most marvelous dinner on the harbour side, and we were very happy that night. And when it came to pay the bill, the man said, "It's all right, sir. It's been taken care of." And I said to my wife, "You watch. It's some nutty Doctor Who fan who insists on it." And no one ever pays a bill, do they, without wanting to see you? Because that really is self-sacrifice. They always want.
No one's ever offered
They
to
won't
pay
do
bill,
that.
right?
Well, lots of people have paid my bill. Lots of people, but they always want to put their tongues down my throat or something like that, because especially if they're anthropologists.
Get their dinner back, obviously.
So you sometimes do it with torches. Anyway, so the man said, your dinner's been paid. I said, no, I'd rather pay my own dinner. He said, no, it's in the till, sir. It's paid. So I said to my wife, come on, let's go in then. So they said, this man's a fan of yours. And when we went in this marvelous light, sharp light coming in, beautiful restaurant, much more informal than ours. And there was this very good-looking big man and looking at me rather quizzically. And so, when you're an actor, often people, send for me or know something about me or have seen my performances and therefore want to shoot me or something. And I said, I said to him, is your name Morgan by any chance? You always say that. Journalists would say that. Yeah. You don't want to be on. He said, no, my name's Baker, Piers Baker. I'm your son.
Dear God.
Well, there he is.
Yeah.
He is
so
very
I
good
said,
looking.
there he is there. So I said, naturally, how do you do? And he ordered us a beer, and it's been fine. The other day we watched the Grand Prix together.
Fantastic. How long had you been apart for?
Well, I hadn't seen him, I can't remember, it was a long time, if I didn't recognize him. About 16 years, maybe.
That long?
Yeah, but he works all around the world,
Yeah.
So.
And are you now an item again?
Yes, we are, yes.
Excellent.
He came, and he actually rang me up last night. Yeah, I'm going to see him, because I'm just off on a book tour, 50 towns and cities. Because I don't want to miss any. I'm going to actually do evening signings in people's houses.
Yep.
At hospitals, outpatients, schools, anywhere.
Good
Quite
stuff.
shamelessly.
No, it's good.
There are 1,000 stories in the book. We've just taken 3 there, talking about it, to give it a flavour. What we haven't covered is your 3 marriages. I just wanted to ask you one question about them. Are you the sort of person that looks back and says, well, because 2 of them didn't work out and the present one does very much, I'd rather just have had this one going back to the beginning? Or actually, have you been enriched by all the...
Oh, yes, I think so. Yes, I've been enriched, really, especially I've been enriched by my poverty. That's one of the paradoxes. Yes, on the way. That's why in a sense, I call the book rather ironically and teasingly, Who on Earth is Tom Baker? Because, you know, sometimes I haven't always known. But no, I have no regrets about the other managers. You know, they were okay, and then they weren't okay, and so one pushes on.
Yeah. Well, it's a great book. Thank you very much for coming and talking about it. Good luck with the tour and the outpatients departments and people's private kitchens and all of that.
You know, we had at least a couple of other clips to play
well,
Doctor Who, and you were so interesting that we forgot about them. So it's really
Well,
nice.
it doesn't matter.
Very nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Tom.
you.
We've got to take another break now. We'll be back in just a minute with Monty's...